I'm with my good friend Seán Weafer today. Seán Weafer is an internationally renowned expert on high trust relationships. Seán works with leading professional advisory firms, some of the biggest firms in the world, on how their advisors can develop the strongest levels of trust with their client base. Now, obviously, trust is very, very important to anyone who's watching this video or listening to this interview. So, Seán, high trust relationships, how does that differ from a straightforward trusted relationship? Where's the difference?
Well, there are different levels of trust in relationships. So, for example, you and I might trust each other, Andy, but we may not share everything with each other. We'll hold something back. So, but in a high trust relationship, you have an absolutely compelling relationship with someone. That means there's no barriers, there's no resistance, there's no hesitation or reservation whatsoever in sharing fully the information with you. It's a compelling relationship. That means that when a client is looking at you, they see you as their absolutely go-to person to get in that space. And a big problem with business advisory or professional advisory firms is while they're usually technically expert, they have great IQ. Where they're falling down is on their EQ or their emotional intelligence. And the way the world is today is that I'm going to have a very compelling relationship before I even consider you as an advisor. So what I do is I work with them to help them understand the power of the emotional intelligence and how to deploy that so they can eventually learn how to deploy their technical expertise.
A lot of people might argue that to get to that level of trust where people see you as the go-to person and have no reservations whatsoever about recommending you, that takes time. Now, do all your clients have the patience that they need, or what approach can people take to develop such a high level of trust in a shorter period of time?
I think there's a couple of key elements involved in that space. The first is to be able to develop a very compelling message. And so one of the things that we've evolved is a thing called a PCR, which is a point of compelling relevance, which is where we differentiate what most people have used called USPs, unique selling points. The problem with unique selling points in a lot of professions is that they sound exactly the same as everybody else, so they're actually generic selling points. So part of the work that we do is we start helping them develop these points of compelling relevance, which is language that is simple, concise, meaningful, and present tense, and has a really powerful emotional impact on the individual right from the start. And that's the first element that you have, which is to get the attention of the client. Because the two big issues we have right now is getting their access to them and getting the attention of them. Because what's going on with decision makers is decision making is re-centralizing, no longer decentralizing. So it's actually going back up the ladder. And so these are busy people. So they get their attention has become harder. The second thing is an area that you specialize in yourself, which is the area of networking, which allows you to do the access piece, which is the personal contact networking piece. And then the other things are things like, for example, learning how to make a powerful first contact. How do you get that person to resonate with you and be able to start the process of influencing them? How to deepen that by working with unique personality types? How to use really advanced questioning skills? And then how do you pitch information in a way that makes it stickable? In other words, it stays in their head, given the massive flow of information that hits them every day. And the program that we run specifically in a modular form allows them to be able to learn that stuff within a matter of a couple of months, and it stays.
And how would you suggest to someone that they know when the right time is to say, okay, this person does trust me, they do believe in me, now I can suggest what I believe is the next step, or I can ask for the referral, the recommendation. What signs would people look for?
Well, I mean, there's micro signs and then there's macro signs. So micro signs might be, for example, in rapport development, we have a thing called pacing and leading. Pacing is when you follow the client and then you do something that's different from the process, and then they follow you. And by purely a physiological element or even a verbal element, they're starting to match what you do. So that's a micro level. A macro level might be where you put in a proposal and they've come back to you and said, we got X amount of price off somebody else. If you can match that, we can give you the business. So they're actually feeding you intelligence, information, because they want you to get the business, and that you're able to work on that basis. So these are like micro and macro elements of indicating where that powerful relationship is at.
So you need to be listening, you need to be alert, you need to be picking up those signs.
What we talk about is we have to learn what we call become consciously aware of engagement. See, it's not about communication anymore, it's about connecting, involving, and engaging people. And in actual fact, really what the big thing is not to suffer from what I call monologue engagement. You have to work with dialogue engagement. And that first starts by making a space that allows them to come to you. See, the interesting thing about the way business has gone is that the buying process or the buying cycle has now in front of the sales cycle. So in the past when we were selling, and selling, by the way, means to be of service. So it's not about pitching stuff. we used to go out into the world and be the experts and tell them what we can do and how we can make it happen. It was our job to go tell them. Well, now with the internet and with peer-to-peer networks and all kinds of stuff, what happens is people have actually gone and done the research before they even consider talking to you. So what they don't want from you is you acting like an expert and telling them what they should be doing. What they want from us is to be able to interpret the data they've already gathered to make it meaningful to them. And that's an advisory position to be in.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Seán.
You're very welcome.